Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 10th, can you believe it, the 10th PvP Live podcast. I'll tell you what, I am super excited to be here. We have an amazing staff here. I'm your host, Jason, accompanied by PvP Live staff members, Aridin, Davis, and Paul, and of course, we have a very special guest, Eldacar Jeff, which is also an MVP forum member for World of Warcraft. Aridin, Danny, how you doing today, buddy?
Let me unmute my mic, first of all, and second of all, I'm doing great. How's it going?
Good, good. Excellent. Davis, how are you doing today?
I am doing good.
Excellent.
Yeah. How are you doing, Jason?
Lies, it's number 9, says Tobias.
Is it number 9? Oh, man, I feel like a real big idiot right now.
Oh.
Well, it's because you have a lot on your mind.
What a big...
anniversary next week.
Next, actually, the following week.
2 weeks, yeah.
In 2 weeks, because we're going to skip next week because we're going to BlizzCon. As you guys can see, too, we have the BlizzCon logo up there because it's going to be a BlizzCon extravaganza. But first, I have to keep on going with introductions. Paul, how are you doing today?
Hello, everyone. I'm the only one that looks like an in-game character.
That's all right. We'll get you there. You live on an island. It's understandable. Eldacar, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah,
Happy to be here.
Good. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Eldacar's on the show today. We'd love to have him all the time, but Eldacar is going to be accompanying us to BlizzCon as well, along with me and Aridin, and that's going to be some big topics for today. Let's start off right away with this week's Friday Night Face-Off. It was personally, it was my favorite Friday Night Face-Off. Everything went really well. The show went well. The two teams we had, Q Kappas versus Rest and Protein. Rest and Protein actually won again for the second time in 2 weeks, which was pretty exciting, especially since Q Kappas is actually 66% of Q Kappas is actually going to be competing at BlizzCon this year. Starting over with Davis. Davis was co-hosting with me this week. Let's talk a little bit about what we saw between Q Kappas and Rest and Protein this week.
Well, I mean, they were good games, and like I said, I favored the WLS over the Cleave, and the WLS won. But everyone's really rooting for these Cleaves, man. Everyone wants this Lock and Shaman team to get what's coming to them.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see if other people challenge them and want to face them. Do they play a Cleave, or does a wizard have to step up and do the job? Really? Do we have to get a wizard to kill these guys? Is that really the thing? But it was good, and I'm glad you enjoyed the Friday Night Face-Off, since that was the first one I've been on. So
yeah, and it was
fun to be there.
Yeah, the reason why I loved it so much, Davis, was because of you. Of course.
Oh,
I mean, we were wearing.
Of course.
You had your shirt all the way buttoned up like a proper prince. I mean, you look like a king. You look like the King of Scotland. Aridin, going over to you. Let's talk about
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. He is Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, the King of Scotland. Oh my.
I had to do it.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Everyone has to do a Braveheart reference.
You guys best continue, otherwise we're gonna have a problem here.
Okay, David O'Brien. Going over to Aridin. Let's talk about. Is that kind of what you expected, or I mean, did you think because Q Kappas, or at least part of their team is going to be competing next week at BlizzCon, did you expect that outcome from that match? From the matches?
Not at all. I mean, I totally expected the Turbo Cleave, the Warrior Enhanced Shaman to just one-shot the Warlock or the Shaman even. I didn't expect it to go that way at all. But I was rooting for him. I was definitely rooting for the WLS. And they won. So that's awesome. But they were some of the best matches I've watched on our Friday Night Face-Off by far.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be exciting to see if Rest and Protein actually will come back in the upcoming weeks to see if they can continue their win streak. Paul, you weren't with us yesterday. Did you get a chance to watch the matches?
Yeah, I had a look at the VODs. They were pretty good games, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of with Aridin. I did not expect the WLS to win at all. I thought Warrior and Hearts and Shaman training a Warlock. Yeah, that's gonna be nasty, but
it's a pain train, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I expected them to just flop over instantly, to be quite honest. But they played really well and they deserve the win. So.
Yeah, something else to note too. Those were actually some of our longest matches that we've seen during Friday Night Face-Off. So I think that's probably one of the other reasons why I enjoyed it so much too, because you could always, fast matches are fun, but it's nice to be able to see the actual players get into their groove. Jeff, Eldacar, did you get a chance to watch the Friday Night Face-Off this week?
Yeah, I watched it. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I've seen most of the previous Friday Night Face-Offs, and this one had the most back and forth of any that I've ever seen. And that's what I really look for as a viewer watching these things is the intense competition. I wasn't expecting the WLS to come out on top. I was expecting them to get blown up and see another clean sweep, but I was really surprised and happily surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, I think overall, everyone was pretty psyched of the overall outcome of the whole matches. Before we move on to the next subject, I just want to remind everyone to go to pvp-live.com. Remember to bookmark that website, follow us on Twitch, and remember to follow all of us on Twitter. Moving on, there's been some crazy stuff going on with hunters this week. And basically, there is an exploit that people are taking advantage of where there's a boss in Sunken Temple that puts a debuff on a hunter's pet. And if you dismiss that pet before you leave Sunken Temple, it'll give you a 400% damage buff. I think Davis, out of all of us, probably knows a little bit, probably the most about this exploit. Do you kind of want to go into a little more detail about it?
Well, sure. I mean, basically, what you described is what happens. They go into Sunken Temple, they get this crazy thing, and they come in and one-shot people. And I think we're all kind of used to hunters one-shotting people, but now they're not meant to do it. It's not as intended. Not as intended at the moment. So at the moment, yeah, if you see a hunter pull out a pet that looks like a giant fat troll, then he's exploiting, and he's going to hit you for a lot of damage. But I've seen it in action, and yes, it's ridiculous. It's like 200k non-crit damage that hunters are managing to pull out just because they pull their pet out in the arena with this debuff on them.
Yeah, kind of like we were talking about before we started the podcast too. In PvE, it's absolutely ridiculous with Stampede. I mean, because you could actually have that buff on pretty much every single one of your hunter pets, and imagine, times 5, 400% damage is a pretty ridiculous buff. Paul, going down to you, what do you think about this hunter exploit right now? Obviously, it needs to be fixed as soon as possible, but it seems like a pretty big one.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it in Arena, and it's like, literally the moment you see the pet, you're dead. It's like, that's kind of what it's like. And I've watched a few streams with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched one stream yesterday where they played against double BM Hunter and they actually managed to win because they were CCing the pet the whole game. They were just running and controlling the pet, and like it was hilarious. And at the very end, like the hunter got off like 1 second of damage on the mage, and he just instantly died. Like I was looking at the numbers, it was like 400k and 300k. I mean, it's kind of insane, but I mean, Blizzard have they've acknowledged that the buffs in the game. They've acknowledged the exploits there. They're working on a fix, and it's probably going to be gone in a couple of days. So,
I would.
This kind of stuff. This stuff happens. You can't predict everything that can ever happen in this game. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but yeah.
A couple of people in chat are saying that it's already fixed, but I'm not
I haven't
100%
seen
on
it,
that
so maybe.
actually.
Yeah, I did hear, we were kind of chatting about this earlier. I thought that there was possibly a fix before too, but I'm not 100% positive. Before we actually go to Eldacar, I just want to bring up that Holinka from Blizzard actually just joined the stream, and he actually called us out on Twitter last week for not giving him a shout out. So I'm going to get that out of the way right now. Holinka, here is your shout out. Thank you so much for joining. Honestly, really glad that you're here. Eldacar, we were kind of talking about the hunter exploit before, and you were you brought up before that it's sometimes an ongoing problems with hunter pets and exploits. Do you want to touch base on that a little bit?
Yeah, I can't remember any of the specifics, but I know that this type of issue has happened in the past with hunters getting buffs or debuffs on their pets and dismissing them and then resummoning them at critical moments like in Arena or in raids. And I think in the past it's been buffs that had short durations and not debuffs. It may be more difficult for Blizzard to clear the debuffs off of the pets when they get unsummoned without opening the door for other kinds of exploits that allow you to clear intense debuffs from your pets by unsummoning them. So
Right.
Do you guys
it's a
not
challenge for
remember
Blizzard.
do you guys not remember the blood plague incident that happened way
that's
back
an
in
example.
vanilla? Yeah, that was the funniest thing. For those that don't know, I think it's blood plague or something like that. There was a buff you got in Zul'Gurub way back in vanilla, and you put it on your pet and you dismissed your pet, and then you went to whatever main city it was, and then you took it out, and the buff was literally there. The debuff was there for hours, and it was killing people for hours and hours and hours. You go and watch the videos, and it's like there's like so many corpses in Orgrimmar in this video. It's like just to echo what he said. It's something that's been happening for years. I don't know if it's just something that they can't fix or anything, but
There were actually a lot of studies done on that incident to see how
I
all the different
remember
populations responded to what was essentially a
wasn't-
simulated plague.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of like I can't remember what it was, but I remember like universities were studying it as well to see like
Yeah.
plague distribution and the way the population would react to it and stuff like that. So I mean, it's like it's almost
While tying
valuable.
into real world situations, Holinka actually just said in chat that the hotfix is out, but it is required restart. So it looks like it is actually not fixed right now, but I'm guessing probably Tuesday during realm restarts. I'd imagine that it will be.
Very soon.
Or soon, yeah, even sooner than that. So not entirely sure. We'll have to wait and see on that. And did you guys want to talk about anything else on the Hunter exploit? Or I guess it's going to be fixed in a couple days anyway, so...
I mean, something like this happens, it could be, I mean, you take a game like World of Warcraft that has so much going on and so many systems. I mean, it could literally be the product of a decimal being in the wrong place.
Sure.
And, it's understandable that people get upset about these things, especially when they come across it repeatedly, but it happens, I mean, it's just, you can't catch everything. You could just try to fix it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating that it keeps happening with hunter pets in pretty much a similar manner over and over, but I don't see how they could totally eliminate
Well,
it without...
like Davis said, I mean, we already had season 13 and season 12, so we're used to it. It's not.
It happens.
This is just dumb buffs.
Hunters are just
System
sometimes
kind of
bugged.
stampede.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
just something that's going to
hunters
happen.
are bugged.
Yeah. It's going to happen. Moving on. So, BlizzCon. Let's talk about BlizzCon. I mean, this is basically next week is pretty much the most exciting week that I'm going to have in the next probably 5 years. I'll tell you right now. And me, Aridin, and Eldacar will be going to BlizzCon this year. We have a lot of exciting things going on. We are going to be filming, first off, a short documentary about BlizzCon as a whole, and mainly focused on the arena tournaments, which I'll be filming, and I think it's going to be pretty good. I don't want to say up front, but I think it's going to be pretty exciting, something that you guys haven't seen before. And then also, I'll leave this to Danny, but Danny's going to be, Aridin will be live blogging and doing all kinds of stuff with the arena tournament. Aridin, do you want to touch base on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're going to be there to not only represent PvP Live, but also provide our page and all of our visitors with content, up to the day, up to the minute updates. Excuse me. Just with everything that's going on, and I'm really looking forward. Now, don't tell my wife, but I'm with you on this. We just got back from Disney World. I'm actually a little bit more excited about going to BlizzCon. I mean,
I can see that. I can see
don't tell
that.
her. Don't tell her. Don't.
Eldacar, you're a 4M MVP for World of Warcraft, and you'll be accompanying us as well. And I'm sure you got your own stuff going on at BlizzCon. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, there's tons of stuff going on. One thing that I'm particularly excited about is I have this little get-together, kind of a private get-together with all the other Forum MVPs, where we're all going to get to meet up in person, most of us for the first time.
Yeah.
A lot of us joined the program since the last BlizzCon, so we've never had a chance to meet before.
That's
So it'll be
that's
a lot
really
of fun.
exciting. How many MVPs do you expect?
Right now I'm expecting around 20, as
Okay.
well as a few Blizzard employees.
Nice. That's
That's
super
awesome.
exciting. Yeah, that's
And I'm gonna break this news right now. Davis, many of you guys in chat love him. He's from the UK, from Scotland. He's not going to be able to attend BlizzCon, but I will be by the meeting stone, and I'll have him on FaceTime on my phone. It's only $50 a minute to talk to him FaceTime.
Dude, that is a deal and a half. That is, I mean, man, if I could tell you the conversations I've had with Davis, it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. But yeah, other than that too, I mean, I'm super excited about the parties. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we have some super exciting, first of all, we're going to a BlizzCon get together, or I'm sorry, a Blizzard employee type get together, on Thursday, and then right after that, we are going to the WoW Insider Wowhead Party, which I believe is going to be live streamed by Gamebreaker, right?
Yeah, so Gary, Olivia, if any of you guys are watching, get us on air.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be running around there. So yeah, super excited about the parties going on, and then of course the huge Twitch TV Saturday party when BlizzCon ends. I believe it's a huge blowout from what I've heard. So I'm super excited. Aridin, what else are you excited about? I mean, there's so much. There's so much. It's even hard to like kind of.
It's literally almost overwhelming. Everything that's going on. I'm super excited. And just this week we found out that one of my favorite bands growing up as a teenager, in the early 2000s, Blink-182, they're finishing it out. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you sure you got that time frame right?
What's that?
For what?
Early 2000s?
Yeah, like 2002, 2003.
I remember them being older for some reason.
Oh, they are.
They're definitely from the 90s.
Oh yeah, they've been around since I think 90. Don't quote me on this because I could be wrong, but I think 93. 92 maybe.
Yeah, they were around, but by the time I was, got my own taste in music was around 2000, 2002. 1999, Enema of the State.
There you go. Yeah, it was an excellent album. But that's going to be. I'm super excited for that too. It's going to be out of any of the bands. I mean, obviously I have more favorite bands, but it's. I think it's a good musical choice for it. Eldacar, we were talking earlier too. I know you don't have your whole schedule worked out exactly what you're going to be going to, but are there any panels or anything that you're super excited to see while you're there? What are you most excited about?
I'm really excited to see the tournaments, especially the second day. I don't play Hearthstone that much personally, but I'm excited to see that exhibition, as well as the grand finals for StarCraft 2 and World of Warcraft. I mean, there's so much stuff going on that it's really difficult to catch everything that you could possibly want to see.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard. Me and Aridin kind of have a loose schedule kind of set up of all the things that we're gonna try to cover while we're there. And the arena tournaments are going late. The World of Warcraft ones at least are going till I think 9:30 on Saturday night. I think that's the estimated end time. So Saturday is gonna be a really long day for us, but super excited. What do you have here? What are you trying to show us here, Aridin?
That's my BlizzCon schedule.
Oh wow, man, that's real professional. Where'd you? Oh, you did it on the.
app.
You did it on the app. Okay. I was like, man,
Jason, I see the finals ending at 5:30 p.m.
Yeah,
on Saturday.
that might just be buffer time too. The first day itself
bad.
is. The first day is
think about us. We're gonna have to stay up to like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
That's true.
That's gonna.
Yeah, I think it's just a buffer. The first day is the round robin, which is basically who determines who's playing in the semifinals and then the grand finals. So that's going to be a longer day. But I think by the second day it'll be much easier to watch the matches and keep up with what's going on.
Yeah, there's like I said, I mean, there's so much. I'm sure most of you guys have looked at the the official Friday and Saturday schedule, and it's gonna be a super exciting 2 days. Davis, I know Davis and Paul will both be on virtual tickets, I believe, watching from the UK and your respected areas. Davis, what are you most excited about? Besides, don't say the WoW Arena tournament because I'm sure you are excited about that. But other than that, any panels? What are you excited about watching?
I've never been big on the whole watching panels thing, but this year I thought I would give it a try because there's a lot of stuff that people say comes out of it that's really interesting. So this year I'm going to give it a try. I'm really interested in the MOBA, the Heroes of the Storm thing.
Oh, definitely.
And whatever they're going to tell us about the movie is going to be super interesting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing all of that stuff.
Yeah, those are actually two topics that we're going to be covering very shortly in the podcast here today. Paul, going to you, what do you, like I said again, besides the, World of Warcraft arena tournament, what are you most excited about?
Well, one of the things I want to watch is I like watching StarCraft 2 tournaments, so I'm
Sure.
going to be watching that as well. I'm going to be like switching between both the WoW and the StarCraft tournament as well. And I've read pretty much all the books, I think, except the new one, so I like the lore stuff. So I'm going to be watching the lore panel especially, so that's another one. And there's one thing that I actually can't believe is happening. I agree with Davis, Hearthstone kind of isn't really my thing, but I can't believe the Wreckfall's playing against Artosis in this little Hearthstone tournament. I mean that's crazy to me. I'm just gonna watch them play because I want to see that. I can't believe Wreckfall's playing against Artosis, so I want to watch that.
Yeah,
It just feels like fan service.
right.
Yeah. Well, that's mostly what it is, but still, it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, myself personally, obviously, the arena tournament, of course. But yeah, Heroes of the Storm, I am super, super excited to hear about, and I believe all three of us that are going, we're going to be able to hopefully test it out. I think we'll be able to give it a real quick whirl, and then Hearthstone news too. And kind of, we were talking about this earlier, and obviously this isn't a Hearthstone podcast, but I want to make a prediction. I think there's going to be something big that is going to come out of Hearthstone news. I think it's going to change in some way. I think there's going to be some kind of campaign element, and I could be completely wrong. This is just completely out there, but I just want, if I'm right, I want to win this one. But that's I think Hearthstone's going to have some big news. And then Warlords of Draenor. If whatever's going on with that, the movie, there's just so much stuff that's going to come out of this weekend. It's just going to be absolutely wild. Moving on to, let's just let's talk about the arena tournament, because I mean this is pretty much what I'm sure most of us are excited for in the PvP community. And I kind of want to just go for kind of go over the different teams and talk about maybe some breakdowns. And obviously we're sponsoring one of the US teams along with SkillCapped is sponsoring one of their teams as well. So we're not going to be biased here. I want to have an actual real discussion about who we actually think is going to have the best chance at winning this arena tournament. Of course, Novo, Slugonomics, and Danny Carey are going to be representing PvP Live there. So kind of let's just start out here. Let's just start out with the US teams. For Skill Cap, they're going to be Soda, Talbadar, and Shanimals, which we're assuming they're going to be playing a Druid, Shaman, and Warlock. Right, Danny? Oop. I think we're kind of lagging out here. Hold on one second. Oops. Hold on one second, guys. I think we're... Okay, guys, completely sorry about that. That was actually me. That was my internet connection, which never has any problems. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Sorry again about that, but we are directly back, and we should be streaming here right now.
It was the League of Legends tournament. They got you.
Is that what happened? Yeah, they tried to snipe me. Oh, hold on one second, actually.
We're taking way too much traffic away from them.
That's exactly what it is.
Hild says we're back, so I think we're back.
Oh no, we are back, but now the cams are all messed up.
Oh
no, guys, we got a problem here. Hold on. Oh boy.
Well, we can still talk while you do
Yeah,
this.
why don't you guys talk amongst yourself, and I'm going to try to fix the stream. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
So
we
where do we finish off?
We might as well continue discussing.
Yeah. So Team Skill Capped, they are set up to play LSD, but Talbadar is also a pretty well-known Shadow Priest, so he could pull that out. We don't really know. I think they're looking like a pretty good team to win it. I would think at least get to the finals. Actually, I don't really know myself much about China and Taiwan and Korea. Any of you guys know what's going on over there?
The only thing we know is that the Korean team that's coming is they're kind of a veteran of BlizzCon. I think they've been to the last two. Unless it's a
Man.
thing on me. Surprised. With all due respect to the Chinese and Taiwanese teams, they've never really been that competitive. So,
Well, I think I'm not sure exactly what that has to do with, but I think it has a lot to do with the just the number of competitors that are there.
Yeah,
Because
maybe.
Korea and Taiwan both only have one team going, whereas China has two, and Korea and Taiwan's regionals only consist of 3 teams for each region.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's great.
so
All right, guys,
Well,
I'm
I
almost
know- I
back.
know-
I'm sorry.
I know Korea's been like very inactive in terms of WoW, so I guess that's probably the reason why. But it's kind of sad because Korea used to be one of the powerhouses, really.
yeah.
So
But
Okay.
really, it looks like it's shaping up to be Battle of the Wizards, honestly. Lots and lots of
every
wizards.
team's Wizardcleave
Yeah.
from what I've seen. So yeah.
Well, I'm excited about our team. I mean, I know we all are, but I'm really
Yeah.
excited about PvP Live team
They're
because
so mixed.
first of all, they have a monk, which is, I mean, no one else is playing with that,
It's pretty unheard
as far
of.
as I know. And then on top of that, I mean, at the moment they've been trying out a bunch of comps, and everything they play looks interesting. If you know, there's
Yeah.
interesting gameplay, whatever spec and whatever they play. So I'm really excited about watching it, and the Vicious
Imagine what
trying
that
to
would
make me
do for
blush.
the monk community if they did really well, because they're kind of one of the lesser played classes, I think, still being new.
Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
relative. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got so mixed feelings about it. I want our team to do really well, but at the same time, America's one up on Europe now. If BlizzCon wins. I don't know if I don't know if that can last.
Where do your
Wait.
allegiances lie?
That's why I said I've got mixed feelings on this. I don't know. God, it's mixed. I
Well,
want the
my
European team
allegiance
to
is
do well, and I want the American team to do well. So
yeah.
I'll just put it like that.
But I would still prefer the PvP Live team to win.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Obviously want them to do well or win
Yeah.
if it becomes down to that. So
I think
Because it's good for all of us.
yeah.
yeah,
Of course.
that is true. We can piggyback off of them.
You all good over there, Jason? You got everything sorted?
Yeah, I sorry about that again. Yeah, I think we're all good to go. It's some kind of problem with my internet connection. Okay, so I got to be honest. I kind of missed everything that you guys were talking about. Did we cover everything, Danny, that we were supposed to?
Yeah, we pretty much went through the
Okay.
arena teams. One thing I want to add is how about the commentators this year, huh? We have
Yeah.
Vihel,
That
who's
was
a
nice.
Vihel's he's a pretty much a veteran at this point. He's
Yeah,
done
yeah,
quite a few. We have Hoodrich, we have Lore,
Yeah.
who is known from his stuff with Tank Spot and Game Breaker in the past, and now he's a community manager. And we have who's the I'm missing
Bajera.
Azale.
Azale,
Azale?
of course, Azale,
Yeah.
who's also a veteran in his own right.
You know that guy.
that one guy that
Yeah, who's Dale? I've never heard of this thing.
Apparently he's being pulled in to do this.
Well, I kind of expected Azale and Vihel because they've done it before. I'm just really excited about Hoodrich and Lore because they're pretty new to it. So.
Oh yeah, that's going to be super exciting to see. And I mean, as we all know too, we don't have any commentators with us for Friday Night Face Off. Wes and Riles, of course, do that, but I mean, I got to give those guys props. It's very. I would not want to be a commentator. I'll tell you that. It seems like a very high stressed position as far as any kind of tournament goes. But yeah, it's gonna be really exciting to see Laura commentate, especially. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, that's what I'm really excited for.
that's what I'm looking for.
You know,
I
it's-
can see how Law does.
Bringing up commentating and especially our guys that have done it with the Friday Night Face Off. Now these are guys that are not really they're just going for it. They don't really have much experience or training if there's a such thing for it. But they're doing such a great job with it and I actually thought it was funny on our last Friday Night Face Off. Some people in chat were like, "Oh, these commentators suck." It's like you try to do that.
Well,
like
yeah,
seriously.
that's-
Yeah.
Like try to get into a match and announce everything that's going on in this game. It's unbelievable. So I can't wait to see these guys that are going to be doing it at BlizzCon. I mean, it's just something of its own. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's not to mention too. It's such a fast-paced commentation. You know what I mean? It's way faster than League of Legends commentators. I mean, there is so much stuff going on that you have to cover, and if you miss it, there's always the thing is with World of Warcraft commentating that I've noticed is there's always something to complain about with the commentators, whether they miss something or they're going too or they're making dumb comments. It's just there's always something wrong with the World of Warcraft commentators. So that's a hard job.
Yeah, it definitely is, because like I remember this from the first time we ever did it, and I remember how like nervous we all were just beforehand. And I remember during the analysis, like the first game, like we've obviously gotten much better at it, but I remember during the first game, like, and it came to the analysis to it, and I just remember thinking to myself when you came to me, I was like, oh crap, have I actually paid attention enough to this? Did I remember? and I actually remember when I was saying to you after the second game, oh, they played really well at that and that. I remember in the back of my mind saying, remember to bring up this point, and I absolutely forgot to do it.
Right.
And it was just like, because there's literally so much that you have to pay attention to, and it's like you said, it's a lot faster, and like in terms of like League of Legends and that, and StarCraft 2 and all those other games, like you can quite easily predict what's going to happen coming up. It's like in terms of StarCraft, it's like you can see, like, I don't know, one of the SCVs going to make a new base and it lights up and so on. But with WoW, stuff can literally change like that, like literally you click your fingers. So it's really, really difficult. I really am looking forward to Laws. I want to hear how he does, because Laws someone who's not that much being involved in PvP beforehand.
Right.
He's more of a PvP
Well, he
person.
did previously have a show that he did where he commentated StarCraft matches.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
you guys
remember
ever
that.
caught that, and he was
Yeah, I
actually really good
remember.
at that. So
Yeah, I remember that, and it's like that's part of the reason why I'm interested in seeing how he does with WoW, and seeing, because because his experience with this could also be, you know, good for going into the next expansion, because his experience could be, he could go up to, say, the developers, because he obviously has a lot more interaction with them than we do, and could be like, well, and just say the kind of things that we think, like, oh, we believe there's too much stuff in the game, and give, you know, good advice on what they can do to make it more viewer friendly.
Right.
So, I mean, this could be really great, like, not just him being there, but kind of his experience into that and where that could lead to in the future.
Yeah, it will be interesting too to see from you know, a high, because I believe he still is a guild leader of Months Behind. Does anyone know? I don't know. Well, anyways,
I think he kind of had to.
Did he
put
pass
in
that
the
off?
back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, either way, you know, he was very well known for Tank Spot, as you said, and of course being the guild leader of Months Behind, which was a top-rated PvE rating guild. So it will be kind of interesting to see, you know, his take on the PvP scene. But of course, you know, Lore's really been. It seems like he's been taking a big interest in the PvP community as of late.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, because you know, it's been pretty much left in the hands of Holinka, I would say, right? Is probably the main Blizzard employee as far as, you know, with a vocal voice for the PvP community. So it's nice to see one additional one with Lore kind of taking an interest.
Yeah.
I like
We also
to
have
think.
the
go ahead.
community manager Nakator. Or
Yeah.
Nakator.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
how to pronounce
Nakator
his
in
name.
EU.
Over in the EU.
Yeah.
He's great. He
Yep.
posts on
He is
PvP topics all the time.
Yeah.
And just to bring on to that, I spoke to you about this before the show started. Law was on Twitch yesterday in a stream chat talking about PvP with the people in the stream chat. So there's so much more interaction with PvP now than ever before, and I think that's quite frankly fantastic.
Actually,
for
Paul,
everyone, yeah.
Paul, that's actually interesting. Since you brought that up, and I'm not sure if we were planning on talking about this or not, but there's it's kind of a very small hot fix going on for arena matches that last 20 minutes. A team with the most players left standing will now be awarded a victory. And Paul, like you were saying, I believe Lore was in whose stream last night?
It was Vive's stream.
He was in Viv's stream. And do you want to go in a little detail about what he said? Obviously, nothing official yet, but he said it might be happening.
Well, like I said, a lot of this is not official. It's just like kind of like ideas that Blizzard maybe are considering in the future. Because a lot of people were asking questions, and you know, he's a community manager. It's up to his kind of job is to deal with the community. So you know, just saying this is like nothing official. I'm not saying this is what Blizzard are going to do. This is just what he was talking about and what Blizzard were considering, and it was just talking about the new dampening effect, and especially its effect in 2v2, and maybe ramping it up much earlier than the 10-minute kind of like time, the game has to go on for 10 minutes and then it starts kicking in. Just getting that in much earlier, like maybe 5 minutes, or I think 5 minutes would be fine. I think earlier than that would maybe be a bit too much. But so, I mean, like, there's a lot of good things happening in PvP, a lot more than there were in the past. People like to complain about the present times and look back in the past with, rose-tinted spectacles and saying, oh, it's so much worse now, but it really, really isn't. It's so much better now than ever before, frankly.
Yeah,
I agree completely.
It definitely seems like, and I honestly think after BlizzCon and within 2014, I think we're going to see a lot of big things happening with PvP in general coming from Blizzard and just the whole tournament scene. I think it's going to start to grow a bit more than it has in the past, which is super exciting. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. It's so hard to speculate now too, because it seems like so much is riding on BlizzCon right now. There's a 2-day event that could basically, I don't want to say change everything, but we have really no idea what they're gonna present at BlizzCon, and actually that's perfect timing to move into the next subject or the next topic of discussion. But before I do that, I just want to remind everyone to go to pvp-live.com, bookmark our website. Follow us on Twitch and follow us all on Twitter. That would be awesome. Really appreciate it. Talking about rumors or expansions or what's going to be talked about at BlizzCon. Warlords of Draenor. The rumors going on right now with that. We've all been talking about this, especially amongst the PvP live staff, and it could be a million different things. There's nothing set in stone. It could be the next expansion. It could be the name of the next movie, or the first movie, or I think kind of like Eridan's been saying the whole time, is maybe it's a trick. Maybe it's a trick to throw us off the scent of what's going on. But again, we're all going to know within the next 5 days, basically, I think, of what's going to be happening. I feel like the Warlord, this topic, actually, there's a bunch to talk about right now. First of all, moving on with the post that was posted by a random person at MMO Champion, they kind of brought up a lot of things. This person that posted on MMO Champion basically says that they got a bunch of information from Blizzard employees in Versailles. Versailles. Man, I feel like an idiot. Versailles. But basically, they think it's going to be an upcoming expansion. It's going to be called Warlords of Draenor, and will feature Grom as an antagonist, and it's going to be largely based on time travel. So of course, this is all just complete speculation. Just going with Eridan to start out with, what do you think? What do we think Warlords of Draenor is actually going to be? Or if anything?
Well, now, I didn't do a whole lot of research into this, so I can't be completely positive. But from what I understand, it's not that hard to file a trademark. And I feel that this could just be, I don't know, another, some fan-generated thing, like people are so on this bandwagon, speculation bandwagon, and somebody went and filed a trademark. I don't know. I mean, it could potentially be the next expansion, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think. Blizzard's been very tight-lipped this leading up to this expansion that we're assuming is going to be announced at BlizzCon. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't believe anything until I see it, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we know. I would say 90% fact that they are going to announce something with World of Warcraft as far as the next expansion goes. And actually, I'm going to swing right down to Paul right now, because you linked a Facebook picture photo that is obviously, I don't want to say obviously, but I would say 99.9% photoshopped about the new expansion. And I mean, there's so much stuff we could talk about right now. The level cap of how is it going to be leveling 90 to 100? Is there going to be new races? Is there going to be new class? I mean, we have absolutely no idea. Paul, why don't you talk a little bit about what we think Warlords of Draenor could possibly be?
Well, I've been trying to think about this, and it's like, I really don't. I mean, there's so many ideas coming up. A lot of people think it's going to be a new expansion. There's people thinking it's going to be the new movie. I really don't know about it being a new movie, to be honest. I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong, but the story, The Warlords of Draenor, like, we've already visited Draenor. There's been a whole expansion about it. For those of you that don't know, Draenor is what Outland was before it was destroyed, so to speak. So, a lot of the story has been, gone through before. Obviously, there can be a new story within that story that we haven't heard, and that's what Blizzard want to talk about. But I would personally be and we spoke about this a bit between us, I'd be very surprised if the next movie wasn't more to do with Warcraft 3 and the Arthas and Illidan story, because they're the most popular characters. It would make sense. At least if they don't want to do kind of an original story within the Warcraft universe for the movie. So, in terms of that, I really doubt it's going to be a new movie. I could be completely wrong. There is a chance that it could be, but I don't know. About the whole could it be a new expansion thing? I just don't know. It's like I said, we've kind of already visited this. There's already been an expansion on Draenor, or Outland as it's called now.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know if they can get away with that. I don't know if the community would be happy with that, to revisit this again. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like, maybe Outland or the Burning Crusade, I've never seen numbers of this. Maybe that's just the most loved expansion. And maybe Blizzard have just decided, oh, there's a lot more we could talk about that. Because of course there is. It was a whole world. There's obviously a lot more stories they could bring up. But, I mean, if people enjoyed that, would they be happy then with them going over and redoing it?
Well, I mean,
Maybe.
there has been a lot of hints in game that the Burning Legion is returning, right? I mean, if anybody's done the legendary Cape questline, which Eldacar, I'm sure you've done it or you're on it or something. You do a bit of PvE yourself, right?
I'm like halfway through it.
Halfway through. Well, still, I mean, even from like the first the first portion of it in the early expansion, shows green fire raining down on Azeroth, and so there's a lot of stuff that hints at the Burning Legion making a return, and I don't know. I just feel like it could possibly be somebody just running with it and making. So I think that there is a good possibility of a Burning Legion themed expansion, but
Yeah.
Warlords
I
of
don't think
Draenor
there's any
that just
doubt that
yeah, it just
the Burning Legion's coming back. It's just a question of when.
right.
Right.
And Warlords
Yeah,
of Draenor
definitely.
it just makes me think of the past. Like, why would we
Yeah.
travel to the past for a whole expansion?
Right.
You know.
Well, it's interesting too that when I was talking to Eldacar before this on Skype, and if it is possibly if Warlords of Draenor is the next expansion, it would have to include a bunch of time travel. And Eldacar, you brought up a good point: is people have trouble kind of following storylines that involve time travel, so that could actually be a big problem. Eldacar, what do you think about? What do you think about all this? What do you think's going to happen? What do you think Warlords of Draenor is, if anything?
I think there's a really good possibility that it is the name of the next expansion. I mean, we've had trademark leaks like this with the name of the expansion for the last two expansions, and they were always dead on. So, I mean, it's possible it's something else. It's possible it's a trick, but given the timing and given the past, I think it's really likely that's the name of the expansion. And like you said, I think people have a lot of trouble following time travel. So if it is a time travel story and you've got to deal with all these paradoxes and all this other stuff, they're going to have to do a really good job explaining the story for people to like it and follow it.
Right.
And
Yeah,
some
'cause-
people may not be happy if the lore is changing. But there's
Yeah.
other possibilities too. I mean, we keep assuming that if it's Draenor, it has to be in the past, but the Titans could come back and rebuild Draenor. There's other options. I mean, there's tons of options in a world like Warcraft with all this magic and possibilities.
Well, now that I think about it, actually, I've done the Green Fire Warlock quest on both of my Warlocks, and there is a lot of mention in that about rebuilding after the fall of Illidan and stuff. So, I mean, that's a possibility as well. Like the rebuilding of Outland, like reestablishing Outland. Maybe the orcs are going back after Garrosh falls. Who knows? I don't know.
Right.
Maybe they rebuild it, and the warlords are the people that took power after we killed off
Yeah.
everybody that was in
So
power.
maybe
and
maybe it
Outland to
is
begin with.
Yeah.
maybe it is
Yeah,
progressing the
follow on.
story forward. Maybe it's not in the past. Who knows?
It's good. I mean, like I said, I mean, there's so much speculation. Davis, we really haven't went to you yet to talk about Warlords of Draenor, or what it is, or what it could be. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't follow the lore enough to really comment on it. I read a few of the books, but I can't really remember them that well.
Well, I mean, even lore aside, though.
Not.
I mean, lore aside.
I mean, I know Illidan was in them at some point. I remember thinking like
That guy.
like when I saw Illidan in game, I was like, this guy is a badass. He's amazing. He's gonna kill everyone. But in the book, he's just this whiny little brother who's like, come on, can I have a girlfriend too? Is that okay? Can I get a girlfriend? So as far as lore goes, like I haven't really followed it that much. So I don't know if it is the new expansion or what, but all of this stuff sounds really cool. Titans coming back, building a world. I want to see that. Holinka. I mean, can we have an arena that's just like a world being built and we can fight all around it? I don't know.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like an arena like the final boss on Old War, the optional boss. I
Yeah,
can't remember
yeah.
his name,
Stars.
Alagon.
Algalon.
Yeah,
Alagon,
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Well, there's
And-
actually something I kind of wanted to bring up. Sorry for interrupting you there. To talk about time travel being really difficult to follow. Like, I don't know how much of you have read the books before, and I've been a part of like the lore community because I used to post a lot on the lore forums, and this is partly to do with the author, but there are 3 books that deal with time travel a lot, and to be quite honest, they're not the most loved books in the lore because a lot of people read them and then are reading something and then are like questioning, is this actual canon? I don't think it's ever a good idea for people to have to do something and then go away and say, is this actually what's happened, or is this going to be something that turns out not being canon later on?
Right.
Because that's what it turned out. Because it's the War of the Ancients books. They were written by Richard Nack, and a lot of the community, especially those who are interested in lore, just didn't like them. To be quite honest, I have no problem with them. I thought they were fun, but I think I remember Chris Metzen coming out and saying that these books weren't going to be lore ultimately, but then in Cataclysm they made the Caverns of Time instances based on it. Oh well, based on that actual one.
Well,
not
there was
necessarily on
the
books.
wasn't the
They were-
Sunwell. It was the Well of Eternity. That was
Yeah,
one.
the Well of Eternity. That was it. That's what one of the 3 books were called. It was a trilogy. So, I don't know. I think time travel as a central point to an expansion is very risky. It's very good if you can do it right, but if you can do it wrong, then I think that's really bad. Like that could be very damaging if it was done wrong. To be quite honest.
Since you guys know so much about lore and follow it so deeply, we were talking earlier too, and I heard this before as well, Paul, that originally the World of Warcraft movie, besides Davis has no idea what's going on in the lore scene. But Paul, we were talking earlier, and I did hear this before too, is the original plan for the World of Warcraft movie was the director or the writers or the whole production staff wanted to make an original story, and Blizzard said no, which I kind of agree with too as well. I mean, so Paul, just going to you, what do you think? And this could be announced at BlizzCon. We have no idea. But I mean, where do you think the World of Warcraft movie should start?
Well, that's the difficult story about it, is that because I think it's quite simply, if they want to make a movie that everyone's going to love, you do it based on a story that everyone already loves in the first place, which is the Arthur's storyline, the basically Warcraft 3. But I've always had an issue with stuff like that, as making a movie based on something you've already done, because you kind of know the ending to it and such. But I mean, that's just me personally. That's probably something that.
But do you really? I mean, do you really think that I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. But do you think the movie is for us? I think it's really like marketing, like
Exactly.
propaganda.
Yeah, it's not
Well,
for
obviously
us.
It's going to be part of that, but
Yeah.
but think about how long the community's waited for this. The community's been waiting for years
Oh,
for
yeah.
something like this. So I think if they come out with a movie that totally kind of disregarded the community that plays the game now, and is kind of there to get people to join, I think there would be kind of a little backlash about that.
I think it's going to be a
'Cause
tight. It's going to be it's going to be a hugely tight balance. But yet you have to think about this, just like Airden brought up. This movie is not going to make money if it's just for World of Warcraft fans, and that's all the movie studios care about. So I mean, it has to be an interesting enough story where my dad has no idea about World of Warcraft. He's going to watch it. He's going to go to the movie theater on a Saturday night and be able to understand the story and still enjoy the movie itself. So, I mean, I think the story that you just, the story of Arthas and all of that would probably make
Definitely.
the most sense.
It's the most theatrical storyline
right.
that's available for sure.
Yeah,
I completely agree with Paul.
It's kind of got that nostalgia with it as well. People who played Warcraft 3, a lot of people played Warcraft 3, and a lot of people it's their favorite game ever, really. And there's a lot of people that still play it even to this day. So this is like huge nostalgia.
And let's not forget, 12 million people played Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Wrath of the Lich King. Yeah, that's also kind of the thing is like people know the storyline deeply. So I think one of the biggest challenge with this is if this is the story, which personally, if this is a movie, then I think this is probably what it's going to be, is how they can tell this story differently, in a sense that you come away thinking you've watched something new, but at the same time, it's a story that it's characters that and that a lot of people love these characters, Arthas, Illidan, etc. These are the most popular characters.
Well,
in the game.
look at it this way also. There's how many movies come out now that are based on books? I mean, they're all over the place, right?
Vast
I mean,
majority.
everybody knows the story already, The movie just expands that audience. So I don't think the movie's going to be for us, the people that play World of Warcraft. It's going to be to expand that audience. And,
Right. Absolutely.
Absolutely, and it
Same-
doesn't
the
have
same-
to follow
right.
it verbatim. I
Right.
mean, they could stick to the general core storyline and fill in details, and they'll probably change a few things. But if you look at like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, they're obviously based on popular fantasy books, and they were wildly popular and still are.
Right.
So
Yeah, it's.
that could
Oh,
that
good,
could
Paul.
be
like
also
those.
why they've
They were
started.
cool.
That could also be why this kind of movie sort of started moving along again, so to speak. It was kind of stuck for a while, in the sense that no one kind of knew what was happening, and Blizzard kind of didn't want to say anything about it. You could honestly just say that the popularity of the likes of not Lord of the Rings, likes of Game of Thrones, which is it's fantasy based. It's kind of somewhat similar in that sense. That's kind of maybe pushed Blizzard into deciding that Game of Thrones has this huge fan base of people who are enjoyed this type of entertainment. Maybe we should push the movie out now because it's somewhat similar and it already has a huge kind of following already. So
yeah, I think
be
we'll
part of
probably see something a little bit more like Lord of the Rings than Game of Thrones.
yeah.
I mean, Warcraft does have
Well,
some
I-
dark
I've seen
elements
it.
in its story, but I just don't see Blizzard making anything as dark as Game of Thrones.
yeah, I don't quite mean going.
Yeah, that'd be a little risky, I think.
Oh.
I think Davis is getting a little uncomfortable here.
Yeah,
with all this lore.
I was actually going to go to Davis to talk about the movie, but he'd probably just say he wants it all about rogues. So I actually want to go to Eldacar real quick. I know you've commented a lot, but you're really deep into the lore scene too as well. So I mean, actually, what from your perspective, what would you want to see the first World of Warcraft movie be based on?
I totally agree with Paul. I think
Yeah.
Arthas has the best story in Warcraft lore, and if they make it based on Arthas' story, it's going to be a success, as long as they do it right. I don't see anything else that could possibly be more interesting.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's just for the mass audience. It would make the most sense, for World of Warcraft fans and just for regular Joe Blow down the street that has no idea what an MMO is. That would make the most sense. It's funny to bring up too. It's what's sad is it seems like so many different video game movies have been done so poorly. I mean, they've just been horribly done. You could just list them, but I have a feeling this one will be done well. I don't know. It could be. I could be completely wrong. But just the world that World of Warcraft is set in, it seems like it could actually be a popular series of movies where they could actually continue.
I think Disco. I can't say his full name in chat. Disco in chat. The story of Mancrick and his wife. That's
Oh god.
And-
Story of Baron's
And
Chat.
30 close thread.
Yeah, Barons. Yeah. What if
Where is
World of
Ygritte's
Warcraft
wife?
just
The end.
yeah, that's it. That's the whole
Whole
film.
movie will be Thunder Fury.
That's it. I think we're going to move on to probably our last topic for today, and let's talk a little bit. And again, I know we're not exactly talking about a bunch of World of Warcraft PvP today, but this is kind of a BlizzCon special, so I kind of want to talk about Heroes of the Storm. I'm sure everyone in here, everyone listening, knows what Heroes of the Storm is. It's going to be a MOBA. It's going to be Blizzard's new MOBA coming out in. We're going to hear huge announcements next week at BlizzCon. Davis, starting with you, what do you expect to see? Are you excited about a League of Legends type Blizzard game?
I'm excited, but I'm also worried. I have to be honest. I'm a little
Why?
worried. Okay, there's some stuff they've said that they're going to introduce, and I'm a little worried. But I am excited. The biggest pet peeve I would have is if they don't get enough of the cool characters that you can play in the game. And so hopefully, because they said they wanted a small hero pool,
Right.
I think, or at least a limited one. So hopefully they don't make it too small, and we still get to play all the cool characters. Like I want to see Illidan fighting whoever that person is in StarCraft, fighting Arthas, fighting a Marine,
Yeah.
fighting, I
Right.
want to see some crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I want
I just want to
Diablo.
play as Grand Apothecary Putris. That's all I want.
I'm on you with that one. Well, it will be interesting because it's the model that League of Legends has set up is, and I don't even know exactly how many heroes they have. Does anyone know offhand?
Tons.
Is it,
I don't.
I
A
don't.
lot.
I mean,
Wow,
is it
very-
60 maybe? I don't even know. But
More than that.
Yeah, it is
Way more than that.
I'm sorry.
A billion.
2 billion. No, but it is nice that I do like how they introduce new characters, every couple months. They'll bring out a new character, and obviously you have to pay for them, but it is pretty exciting. Eldacar, going down to you, what are you excited about for Heroes of the Storm, if anything?
I'm really excited just to have this kind of mobile environment with Blizzard heroes that we all know and love,
Right.
and seeing this melding of the three different Blizzard IPs. But I share JD's concern that it may not be done right. Blizzard typically likes to make their games easy to learn and difficult to master, and MOBAs historically have a very large learning curve. I mean, if you look at a new player trying to get into Dota or League of Legends, there is so much to learn in terms of heroes and abilities and items that it's very, very intimidating. And I'm interested to see how Blizzard is going to adapt that style of game to them. And that may be one of the main motivations for them only wanting a small number of heroes to begin with, so it's easy for new people to pick up and learn.
Yeah.
But I'm just really interested to see how well this is actually going to pan out.
I mean, yeah, that's an excellent point, and it's a perfect setup. I actually just started playing League about 3 months ago, and I was terrified to start. I got to be honest, just from the stories that I've heard of, people yelling at you. I'm playing a game for. I don't want to be yelled at in a MOBA where I'm just like, I'm trying to learn the game at a very low level of play, and I did so much dang research before I went into my first multiplayer match that I actually felt like I knew what I was doing, and I'll tell you what, I didn't get one criticism, so that just shows you.
Isn't that the way it should
Well,
be, though? I feel that. I mean,
Yeah.
personally, if you want to perform well in a game, you got to do your homework, no matter what game it is.
Especially World of Warcraft. I mean,
Oh,
if you-
World of
Oh, yeah.
Warcraft is a beast of its own. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much reading involved in that. But something like a MOBA, a little, which some may argue this, but to actually get in and play and do okay and have fun, I think it's much simpler to do than World of Warcraft. You have to level, you have to gear, all this stuff. But I think the thing I'm most excited about for it is, and I know you didn't throw it to me, but I'm going to take it anyways. So, the thing I'm most excited about is kind of the Blizzard eSports aspect of it. I think, MOBAs are huge in eSports right now, and with them, coming in with this, it's going to be a big thing, definitely.
Well, that's actually something I wanted to bring up. I'm glad you brought that up, Aridin, is in Do you think that should be a concern of the World of Warcraft community? Do you think that Blizzard could possibly invest a ton of more money or resources into developing the esports community around a MOBA? Going to you, Danny. I mean, is that a fear of yours?
I wouldn't say it's a fear because I mean let's face it, let's be honest. Blizzard or I'm sorry, World of Warcraft doesn't really have much of an esports community at the moment. So they wouldn't really be taking anything away. They just wouldn't be adding more to it if they decided to put all their eggs in one basket, which I don't believe they will be doing. I don't know.
Right.
I just think in general they want to develop more of an esports aspect to their games because that's just what's hot right now. You know, it's
Right.
nothing's about single player. Everything's about esports and smashing your competition and it's a good idea to get into that.
That's where the money's at. Eldacar, going down to you, actually, I mean, do you think that Blizzard is going to put a ton of resources towards the esports community in Heroes of the Storm?
I think it's totally possible. If the game starts to take off and it gains a lot of popularity, I could totally see Blizzard throwing a lot more resources behind that than they currently do behind World of Warcraft. Like we were talking about earlier, World of Warcraft Arena is extremely difficult to follow and commentate.
Yep.
And MOBAs are, already, as you can see with League of Legends blowing up Twitch and the Dota 2 International being very popular, they're just much more popular mediums for esports. So if it turns out to be popular, I can totally see them taking that off and running with it. And my concern is really that at the next BlizzCon, we're going to see Heroes of the Storm push out all the time slots for WoW Arena that we currently have and just totally take its place.
Well, maybe not. It could share the stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that all this extra money going into esports, if this happens, could build up Blizzard's esports apparatus further than it already is and really benefit World of Warcraft.
Well,
But
it's
it really
interesting.
depends on how Blizzard plays it out.
It's interesting to talk about too. Is we don't really know exactly what Blizzard's plans are for competitive Hearthstone. We know that they obviously have an interest in it, but that's another aspect that we're not entirely sure of that I'm guessing we're going to hear about more next week. Paul, you haven't talked in a while. What do you think about the competitive scene in Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm coming up?
Well, I just wanted to point out a bit earlier that the thing when you were saying the new Heroes of the Storm and how you were a bit worried about it, the thing is that the audience for this game is obviously going to be, first of all, obviously people who love Blizzard games because it's their heroes.
Right.
But it's going to be people who play MOBAs already. What you were saying with it maybe not kind of suiting Blizzard a bit is that they obviously want, MOBAs have such a high learning curve. The thing about this is that if the game doesn't have that learning curve there, I don't know if it can be successful because if you think about the people who play League and they play Dota, they love this type of, just how big the game is, and how many heroes there are and kind of like that depth to it that if Blizzard don't follow suit with that, maybe they won't ever find that same level of success. But yeah, just to go on with the esports thing, and there's some people talking in chat that they don't think that it's even worth Blizzard trying it because of how big Riot is.
Right.
Blizzard's not going to be intimidated by Riot. Yes, Riot's absolutely massive right now, and they're far ahead of Blizzard right now, and there's no doubt about that. That does not mean, certainly not for a company like Blizzard, to just say, okay, well, let's not even try it because there's no point. The International for Dota 2, did it, if any of you didn't watch that, I think
not.
the final prize pool for that, for the finals of that, was like nearly $3 million.
I watched it start to finish, and it was great.
Yeah, I did as well.
Those were some of the best games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In a finals.
Yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of MOBA games. I don't really play them, but I generally watch a lot of esports events. And I watched the whole of the International 3, and it pretty much been the first time I'd watched the Dota 2 tournament. And the scope of it is huge, and the amount of money that's being thrown around is huge. There's no company at the size of Blizzard, the level of Blizzard, the ambition of Blizzard that sees that and thinks, okay, we don't want to be a part of this because there's already a competitor that's bigger than us.
Yeah.
That's I
Absolutely.
really just don't see that's going to happen at all. I mean, that doesn't really make sense at all.
You know, I don't follow the Dota community, but I do follow reasonably closely the League of Legends community, and I'm sure most of you guys saw League of Legends Worlds. And to me, that they put it on at the Staples Center, and to me, that was one of the most impressive gaming events I have ever seen in my life. I mean, that was to be playing in a stadium where the Lakers play is pretty ridiculous, and that place was packed. I mean, and I know we've talked about this before, and I don't want to harp on it, but I mean that was absolutely crazy. Davis, you didn't really get to throw in your opinion here. What do you think about the competitive esports scene around Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone for that matter?
As far as Hearthstone goes, I think that'll be interesting to see. If that turns into an esport. I don't know if it will. It'll depend how they want to market it. I guess I don't really know enough about successful games.
Yep, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties yet again. Oh my gosh, I have no idea what's going on here.
What's
I'm not sure.
doing a chance?
Sorry about that. I never have internet issues, but for some reason, I don't know if someone's DDoSing me. I doubt it because I don't think I'm that popular. But anyways, let's...
It's Riot again. We started talking about...
Yeah, that's what it is. As soon as we start talking about League of
League,
Legends, as soon as we start talking about League of Legends, they take us
DDoSing,
offline.
that's what they're doing. That they're worried about.
I'm sorry, I don't know where we were. Davis, I believe you were talking, if you want to kind of continue that, because I think pretty much most of what you talked about was off, so...
Oh, well, I said loads of really, really smart things.
I would
and
imagine,
everyone
yeah.
in chat.
I would imagine, yeah.
Everyone in chat should just agree with
you're like
everything
Stephen
I
Hawking.
just said.
No.
Into that.
One thing I
but-
just kind of want to add on top of it is, and I see I'm watching chat argue over whether they could do it or not. I mean, first of all, this is Blizzard we're talking about. It's not basement games out of
Yeah,
podunk, whatever. Like
it's not an indie developer.
they have have the resources to do it. I mean, they could do almost anything they set as a goal. So, and it's not to like kiss ass or anything. It just it is what it is. And
Right.
and for anybody that thinks that what you've seen so far with Riot and having their worlds at the Staples Center, if you think that's as big as it gets, you're crazy. It's going to get much bigger.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's
Oh, yeah.
there's plenty
Yep.
of room for more games to jump on this esports bandwagon. So
And there's actually something I kind of want to bring up. Someone was bringing up in the chat, and I absolutely agree with this. Blizzard does have to change some parts of its esports kind of like philosophy and goal. One of the biggest reasons why the likes of WoW, WoW used to be MLG, it used to be ASL, etc. One of the reasons why that stopped happening, and one of the reasons why StarCraft 2 is currently in decline, is because Blizzard still has some of the absolute worst rules when it comes to what like organizations can host their events. Blizzard is still one of the only companies that actually charges you to host their games, whereas others, like the likes of Riot, the likes of Valve, they literally beg you, well, not beg obviously because they don't need to, but they literally go up to organizers and say, can you please host our games, because they know how good this is for them. Well, Blizzard is still like, okay, you have to pay us X amount of money in order to do this, and you have to pay it over every year, etc., etc. I don't know the obvious numbers because we're not in that sort of thing. We don't know those numbers, but like Blizzard does have a lot that they need to change, and that's especially one of the attitudes that they need to change. Mm-hmm. They kind of do need to come up to the point where it's the same with StarCraft 2. They need to stop charging organizers to run it and to actually support them a bit better. Like, this is like kind of old stuff that I'm dragging up right here. It kind of isn't really that relevant. But I do remember, like, one of the reasons why ESL stopped running them is because they made they brought out the 3.0 patch, which brought out all the Wrath of Lich King talents right before ESL's biggest tournament of the year, the ESL World Finals, and it kind of screwed up the whole tournament, to be quite honest, from a WoW point of view. So it's things like that Blizzard could do so much better. And this is not me being negative about this. This is me saying the Blizzard can do so much better, and they can be on the level of Riot or even higher. And they absolutely can. People who think that they can't, you're kind of kidding yourselves about that. Blizzard is by far one of the biggest gaming companies out there. So
Yeah.
I was just saying they're being realistic about it, but I mean, they can do so much better. So.
A lot of people in chat, like we said before, are saying, that Blizzard doesn't care about esports, but I honestly think that a lot of stuff is going to be changing here very shortly. Even with World of Warcraft, I could be wrong, but I'm telling you, and I know World of Warcraft's been around for quite a while now, but I think Blizzard is starting to show major interest in tournaments and the esports community, and I think we're going to see a lot of different stuff coming up in the very shortly here. Oh man.
Well, I mean, there's a big difference. I mean, it's been evolving for a while now with MLG starting back in, I think, 2003 or 2004. I mean, everything up until this point has just been slowly growing, and this is just the very tip of the iceberg. So to say they don't care about esports is not really a valid argument to make right now. They just haven't been on the forefront of it, is all.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to bring up one other thing. People are saying that WoW was never really worked as an esports sort of thing, or never was that popular or successful. I mean, I remember MLG coming out with numbers saying that the WoW tournaments, and this was way back in 2007, 2008. This was long before esports sort of exploded. That they were having 250,000 viewers, up to 300,000 viewers for their WoW tournaments over their season. Back then, that was a huge amount. To be quite honest, it's not like it was never successful, because there was success there. It never tried to be like Counter-Strike or something like that, or this great sort of esport. It was never designed for that. And if you don't design a game for PvP and with esports in mind straight away, obviously it's never going to be at the same level as something else. It never really tried to be that, but it had its place there. Mm-hmm. And I always kind of got annoyed at people when they were saying, "Oh, it should just stop being an esport because it's not balanced, etc., etc." The thing about that kind of attitude is the money that goes into WoW esports, or back then, didn't then suddenly transfer to a new game. That disappeared from esports, the industry. That wasn't redistributed elsewhere. That was sponsors saying, "Oh, they had this huge game that got this amount of viewers. Now it's not there. Well, we're gonna pay you less for sponsorship, or we're not gonna sponsor you at all." I mean, all these build esports, every game is in it together. It's not this against that and this against that. I know the Dota and League communities kind of like to battle it out. Oh my God, game's better than yours, yada yada yada. But look, when the international happened, Riot said, "Okay, we're going to shut down our tournaments for 2 or 3 weeks while it was happening, because they can work together. They don't need to battle it out with each other. They can work. Both can exist at the same time. It's not this or that one.
Right.
And all together, when these kind of things work together, this improves the whole community. This improves the whole industry as a whole. It's not just oh, your game has to die for ours to be successful. That's kind of rubbish, and kind of really old style thinking.
Yeah, I mean, these are all great discussions. And it's going to be really exciting. Like I said a million times already during this podcast, it's going to be really exciting to see what's going to be happening next week at BlizzCon. Because, I mean, in all complete reality, we have no idea what they're going to be presenting to us. It could be anything. I think this is pretty much all the time that we actually have for today. Thanks so much to everyone. Last minute shout outs going to Airden first. Anything?
Shout out to the people in chat for making this a pretty entertaining chat to watch.
Definitely.
I don't think actually we're going to be doing a podcast next Sunday because we'll be heading home from BlizzCon and all that. But expect more discussion on everything we saw there on the next podcast. And thanks for joining us, guys. And thanks to Eldacar for being on the show, and of course JD and Paul and yourself, Jason. Had a fun time.
Thank you, Aaron. Going over to Davis, any last minute shout outs for today?
I am going to have shout-outs this time. First one goes to Big Chief Holinka for retweeting and joining in on the stream. He spoke in the chat and everything.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's exciting.
Walls of steel.
Yeah.
Shout out to Philip Vicious for being in the chat because he's just my number one fan. And shout out to everyone else who came into the chat because it's just good to have you guys here.
Going down to Paul, any last minute shout outs for today?
I just want to shout out to everyone in the chat. There's been a very good discussion going in the chat today, and there's been, everyone's kind of given their opinions. And
Continue it on
there
our forums. On our
yeah,
forums.
yeah, exactly. There were a few people who were like disagreeing with each other, but generally people were keeping it civil, and we had a good discussion. And this kind of thing helps us as well improve what we're doing. So, as they all said, you can go onto our site, pvp-live.com. You can write on the forums, and we can discuss more about this there if you want to, since there won't be a podcast next week. But, help us, and we'll do a lot more and a lot better stuff in the future. So,
and don't forget to tweet us, guys, too, because we can carry this conversation over to Twitter. But again, too, our forums at pvp-live.com are an excellent place. Eldacar, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you, and you were more than welcome anytime you want to come back. Eldacar, do you have any shout-outs?
Well, thanks for having me on here. It was a lot of fun. And I do want to give a shout out to the chat, like everybody else said. It was great watching the chat and interacting with everybody. And Holinka as well. It's great to see him here. I'm really excited to meet everybody at BlizzCon.
Me too.
This week. And if anybody in the chat feels like, or anybody listening later feels like coming up and saying hi to me, I'll be wearing a name tag that says Eldacar on it. Feel free to stop by and say hi.
Or PvP Live in general. We'll be there.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be wearing T-shirts and all kinds of stuff. We'll be around, definitely. So if any of you guys are interested in meeting up with us, let us know on Twitter. Hit us up, any of us, or at pvplive.com. Let us know, and we'll definitely shake hands and do some pictures or whatever you guys want. You can slap me, I don't care. I'm just going to be excited to be there.
Whoa, what?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, honestly though, if any of you guys are going to BlizzCon, please feel free to tweet us, send us messages. We'd love to meet you guys, hang out, whatever. For me, thank you so much. Like everyone else said too, this was a really entertaining chat today. You guys were really interactive, so that was really fun. Again, thank you, Holinka, for coming into the chat today and talking to the crowd. That was awesome. Please go to pvp-live.com, bookmark the site, follow us all on Twitter, and follow us right here on Twitch. And I personally am just so excited for BlizzCon next week. And just please remember to follow us because we will be basically updating everyone live on what is going on. So again, thank you so much to everyone for watching, and good night.